weighed by debt overhangs, high levels of non-performing loans, and uncertainty over future growth. In emerging markets and developing economies, the overall growth is picking up, although growth prospects diverge across countries. The news from the BRICS countries is generally encouraging. The Chinese economy is holding firm amidst its rebalancing. India continues to grow at a robust pace. Russia and Brazil, who were in the negative growth territory in 2016, are expected to turn to positive in 2017 and 2018. Overall, the EMDEs are expected to contribute more than 3/4 of the total global growth in the current year. But there are newer challenges, most notably a possible shift towards inward-looking policy platforms and protectionism, a sharper than expected tightening of the global financial condition that could interact with the balance sheet weaknesses in parts of the euro area, and increased geopolitical tensions, including unpredictable economic policies in the United States. Amidst these challenges lie the opportunities. The estimate unmet demand for infrastructure investment in the EMDs is gargantuan, estimated at about $1 trillion a year by the World Bank. Most importantly, the EMDs need to carry out this huge investment in a sustainable manner. The establishment of the NDBs are now capital constrained, and with their overemphasis on the processes are unable to meet this financial challenge. A bank like the NDB is well poised to step into the void. Since the establishment of the NDB in September 2015, President Kamath and his team have done a commendable job. The formative years of an institution are never easy, and the NDB has navigated this challenge with flying colors. It is really heartening to know that the bank is now fully operational, with 7 loans already approved by the Board of Governors. It has also successfully raised money from the market, and I am sure will soon make the first disbursements in India. Setting up of an African regional center is also under active consideration. The growing importance of the NDB is evident from the impressive array of the guests present here, including several heads of multilateral development banks. As the NDB moves on, it must be guided by its commitment and pledge of the global leaders in 2015 to a sustainable development goals, and to mobilize the means required to achieve the SDGs through a revitalized global partnership. Incidentally, the NDB was also established at the same time with the core mandate to finance sustainable development projects. Therefore, if we remain committed to the core principles of the NDB, we shall also be contributing to the global consensus. NDB must also be alive to the role envisioned by its founding nations. It is an important vehicle for South-South cooperation. The 5 BRICS nations possess enormous amount of knowledge, technology, and resources. There is a huge potential for every BRICS country to benefit from the collective body of knowledge and expertise. As a BRICS institution, the NDB should be at the forefront to facilitate the knowledge and the technology exchange. Now I shall say a few words as India's governor. Throughout this challenging time, India has remained as a bright spot amongst the major economies. As per the IMF's assessment in January 2017, India's growth in 2016 would be 6.6% and is projected to grow at 7.2% and 7.7% in 2017 and 2018. We have successfully implemented a slew of reform measures, including one of the largest currency reform initiatives ever implemented, which will move the Indian economy to a less cash trajectory, increase tax compliances, and reduce the threat from counterfeit currency. Other major initiatives include the merger of the railway budget with the general budget, passage of the landmark Goods and Services Tax Bill, enactment of a comprehensive insolvency and bankruptcy code 2016, liberalization of the FDI policy initiatives, and various facilitation measures to improve the attractiveness and the competitiveness of India globally. India has a huge unmet need for investment in infrastructure, estimated to the tune of about rupees 43 lakh crores, which is about US dollars 646 billion over the next 5 years. 70% of this will be required in the power, roads, and urban infrastructure sectors. Perhaps our Prime Minister expressed it in the most eloquent way when he said, India alone offers the opportunities that could rival those of the entire continent. It offers today the possibilities of a full century. And if we want to do all this in a cleaner, greener, and a sustainable way, this offers an enormous opportunity to an institution like the NDB, whose core mandate is sustainable infrastructure development. I am happy to note that the first agreement for an NDB loan in India to finance the major district roads in Madhya Pradesh has been signed a couple of days back. With this, the NDB will have its first footprint in India. We have proposed projects worth about US dollars 2 billion for the NDB funding, which I do hope will be taken up by the board expeditiously. We shall work with the NDB to develop strong and shelf of projects in specific areas such as smart cities, renewable energy, urban transport, including metro railways, clean coal technology, solid waste management, and urban water supply. Now the NDB is at a crossroads, and today as governors we shall be deliberating on the bank's strategy for the next 5 years, including issues such as the bank's capital loan portfolio and the expansion of membership. The uniqueness of the NDB should lie in the faster loan appraisal, a lean organizational structure resulting in lower cost of loans, a variety of financing instruments including local currency financing, adoption of country systems wherever possible, and flexibility in responding to the needs of the clients. These are the elements which would make the NDB truly a new institution and make it distinct from other NDBs. Being a lean organization, it is also expected that the NDB will not only offer loans at cheaper rates, but will also influence the more established NDBs to revisit their high-cost model. Overall, it is our expectation that the bank will bring a whiff of freshness in the projects and the loan appraisals, as also in the will be nimble-footed to meet the expectation of its clients. Mr. President, I hope India will have a long, fruitful, intensive and mutually beneficial partnership with the NDB. I conclude with the hope that the NDB will emerge as a development bank representing the voice and the aspirations of the emerging developing nations, and will set a new trend in multilateral funding. Thank you very much, and once again, let me welcome all of you to the second annual meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Jaitley, for those remarks, wide-ranging remarks, and also the welcome extended to us. Also want to thank you and the Government of India for the kind hospitality that you have demonstrated to us during this time. It's now my great pleasure and honor to invite Mr. K.V. Kamath, the President of the New Development Bank, to deliver his address. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Arun Jaitley, Finance Minister of India, for those welcoming comments and the encouragement that you have shown us. Your Excellencies, the Minister of Finance of the People's Republic of China, Xiao Jie, Minister of Finance for the Republic of India, Mr. Arun Jaitley, distinguished board members, fellow presidents of MDBs, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the New Development Bank, it is now my privilege to welcome all of you to to our second annual meeting in New Delhi. I especially thank the Government of India for hosting this annual meeting and the Ministry of Finance for its tremendous support. Thank you all for being here with us today. I would like to touch upon three areas on which I would like to share my thoughts with you. First, a brief recap of the past year. Second, my views on the current context in which we are operating. And third, how I see the bank evolving in the future, taking into account the progress thus far and the context in which we are operating. We began operations in July 2015. Since then, the NDB has come a long way. We are focused on building the foundation of NDB and have progressively put in place necessary policy and administrative structures to support our founders' vision and our commitment to green and environmentally friendly projects. As was indicated by the Finance Minister, 7 projects have been done so far. These aggregate to around US $1.5 billion. And 6 of these are in the renewable energy sector, while 1 finances transport connectivity. We signed our first loan agreement for a project in China December last year, which was funded in renminbi, and began the process of providing local currency lending, which we believe is important for all our member countries. We have signed our second loan in India during this trip here. We have received our first 2 rounds of capital on time, and in some instances ahead of schedule, signifying the great support of our shareholders. Out of an approval to raise renminbi 10 billion, we raised renminbi 3 billion, equivalent to about $445 million in our maiden bond issue in China, which was a green bond issue in the interbank market, making NDB the first multilateral financial institution to tap this market. We are grateful to the support the Government of China and the Ministry of Finance in particular. We have begun our recruitment process based on the principles of meritocracy and gender equality. Regular staff at all levels have started joining, and NDB is currently 75% strong, including all categories of staff. We are working towards opening our African Regional Center and have set a target date of May this year for doing this. We have signed MOUs with a vast array of commercial banks and indeed the leading multilateral development banks. And we would today be signing a set of MOUs with some of the leaders who are here from the multilateral development banking world. I must acknowledge that in the first year we have found great support from our friends in the MDB world and in the commercial banking world, who have been very generous in sharing their knowledge, sharing their thoughts, and sharing their people so that we could get up to speed. Indeed, we are a lean organization and will continue to be a lean organization, agile and nimble, and operating with great speed. Today, we operate in a context that is changing extremely rapidly. Technology is disrupting our landscape constantly with rapid obsolescence and dynamic cost structures. Just take the case of solar power. Each time the world's solar power panel production doubles, the cost of panels falls by 26%. Since 2008, the cost of solar panels has fallen by 80%, which in turn has led to an exponential fall in the renewable energy prices. The cost of generating electricity through renewable energy is now on par with generating energy from fossil fuels. The energy landscape is changing fast, and adoption of renewable energy technologies even faster. For example, India has tripled its solar capacity in less than 3 years. China is the world's leading renewable energy producer with more than double the renewable energy capacity, the second largest producer, the United States. It has nearly 400 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity, including hydro. Its solar panel production has increased 100 times since the last decade to 2014, and renewables now supply nearly a quarter of its electricity. This demonstrates what is possible, and this, to me, is a sharing of learnings that happened in a member country. Technology is also changing the speed of innovation, the speed of adoption, speed of disruption, and changing the business environment we operate in. For example, to reach 100 million users across the globe, it took 75 years for the telephone, 7 years for the internet, 4 years for the Facebook, and we are seeing time frames getting crunched all the time. In the coming years, artificial intelligence and machine learning will soon be embedded in our everyday life. autonomous cars, hyperloop transportation systems, 3D printing will all impact us. The fourth industrial revolution, caused by the combination of digital and physical systems, is already upon us. Unlike the previous three industrial revolutions, the fourth is unfolding at an exponential rather than a linear pace. Developing countries are already seeing the beginnings of this revolution, and they will both influence and be impacted by this disruption. So we need to ask ourselves, how do we align to these disruptions? How do we redesign traditional business models and operations for this new world so that we remain relevant? And while doing this, how do we build a green architecture? The infrastructure requirement of our members over the next decade are well documented, with trillions of dollars of investment needed. The infrastructure needs to be green, sustainable, and climate resilient, with reduced vulnerability to economic and environmental shocks. The infrastructure that we build today needs to enhance the economic, social, and environmental well-being of citizens. The requirements are huge, and to meet these, we need all institutions, public, private, multilateral, and bilateral, global, and national, to work together. What does all this mean to the bank? The world that NDB will operate in going forward is clearly set for dramatic change. As president of the bank, I ask myself, how do we meet our mandate of funding infrastructure and sustainable development in this new world? We would like to be an integral part of the solution to some of the key infrastructure development challenges facing our member countries. The fact that infrastructure has tremendous impact on economic growth and the economic well-being of the poor has been well established. With better infrastructure availability and connectivity, the poor have improved access to economic opportunities, education, and health facilities. To find evidence of how much of a positive role infrastructure plays in poverty reduction, we need to look no further than the bank's host country where we are housed, China. Over the past 25 years, globally, an average of 137,000 people were lifted out of extreme poverty every day, with China leading this remarkable transformation. The key element that underpins the China story is the development of massive infrastructure. We will work with our member countries to support technology-driven solutions that help develop infrastructure that contribute to sustainable development.